Hello, this is Pam again. So today I wanted to put a video out there today. This is going to be about the retreat that I wanted to have a workshop. We really didn't have a workshop. It's kind of hard to do that when you're quilting. So everybody wanted to get some of their projects done, but I did have a presentation, and so I met several new ladies and they sat in on my presentation. And so I just want to kind of come back here and go over some of the areas that we discussed. And so today I'm going to show you how to make a little needle book. I have the batting, and I took this piece of cotton, and I really liked this one, and I'm not sure what type this is. I don't think it's just I think it's Kona. I don't know what type of, and some people call them calico, but I just call it cotton. But it has this little rough edge selvage, which looks really interesting. So I'm going to not stitch that down. I'm going to leave that on my little needle book. So I'm making a new needle book. This is the one I use at home, and I'm wanting to make a smaller one to go with me. That is why I'm starting this needle book. This needle book will go into the pouch, which I have several videos on. I want to take this with me when I travel, and I want to have a smaller needle case or book. So right now this one here is just too big to take, and I want to simplify it. So what I would have inside here is my new needle book, some thread, some scissors, and I really think I need to make a different scissor case. I want to streamline that too. And then of course my project. So with the needle books, you have the main fabric, which is this, and the batting. I haven't chosen my lining yet, but I want to refresh your memory that we have some felt, which I have right here, and I'm going to use this piece that I found, and this is going to be the inside. I want to add a little pocket which will go on the lining, and I'm not quite sure how that's going to transpire. I need to think about that for a bit. But I have the flannel, the felt. I have the felt ready to go. I have the batting and the cotton. So as you can see, I have the felt sewed in the middle, and with this little pocket here, and another piece of felt to use to hold my my straight pins, which is great, but I don't think I need that for my new one. So I also want to show you my cute little pin cushion. This is fun. I actually found this little ceramic piece at an antique store. I added some mixture of batting and felted wool, and I made myself a little pin cushion. It's just so cute. Now, the fabric I want to use for this piece came from my scrap bag, and this was also a slow stitch project, which is called the Japanese rice bag, which was a lot of fun to make. There's tons of tutorials on making rice bags. In fact, there's lots of tutorials on any of the slow stitching. I have a few favorites. I will add those in the description of the ladies that I like to follow, and they're so inspirational. So what I do is I have my bag, and I start pulling out fabric. scraps. When I started on this piece, these colors resonated for me, so I decided I wanted to do more of the green. And also, this is probably the first time I've ever created a video of me actually making a project, so it might be difficult for me to do that on screen. I usually have to sit back and think about it a lot of what I want to do. So here we go. Like I said, I've found this color, this one here, which is a batik, and I just really like the pattern. I had found another piece that had this little flower on it, and I thought, how cute would that be? Now, when I lay down the pieces, I want to kind of leave, this space open. I'm going to add some stitches to this little area right here. And then I'll leave a little bit of room on the tops and the bottom. I'm going to fold this over like this, so it's going to be like a little book. The middle is, for this one, is 3 inches, so I don't have a problem having it going over a little bit. We're just gonna keep layering pieces like this, and basically it's just playing. You just keep auditioning your little scraps, and because this is so small, I think I want to have smaller pieces, so I want to fill a piece over there. So I'm just going to cut, just eyeballing it. And lay it down. This one's a little bit longer than I need, so let's just trim that. How fun is that? It's like coloring. Filling in the blanks. And I also like to balance both sides. You don't have to. You don't have to do that. But I like to have some of the same fabric on both sides. Hold on, I got to get rid. Okay, it's gone. Interesting how the phone will pop. Oops. The phone will pop up. Which, how appropriate is that for Robin to be sending me a message about how much fun slow stitching is? I now have to tell her about my videos, which are kind of embarrassing because I don't think they're that good. I did read something that someone said, and it says it takes like 100 videos before you get confident. So this is video number 3, so I have a long way to go. So you just keep looking through your scraps, and if you don't have scraps, you can just go through fabrics that you do have, and they don't have to be cotton fabric. They can actually be clothes. You can use clothes as your scraps, kind of like that. So you can go and, instead of taking your clothes to Goodwill, you can just cut them up and use them for slow stitch. I like that. Like I said, this is just fun. We're just going to play. And the beauty of it is, if you don't like something, you can just replace it with something else that you like. I did do the workshop, the presentation at my retreat this week. Many ladies joined my presentation. I'm hoping that they will join me in this little fun journey. One such lady that I met, her name's Rochelle, I'm hoping she's watching this. She gave, on the free table, let me show you real quick, this whole bag of fabric. And it is just full of all kinds of yumminess. So don't worry, Rochelle, I'm going to save it for you. You may get some of it back, because I know that she will want it back after, if she starts doing this. So let's see. I kind of want to add some more green. Somehow green popped out from my bag. It stood out and said for me to make the needle case with it. And quite interesting, I'm not really a green fabric type person. I really don't like green, but maybe I do. Now, this is just the first layer. I will be adding a little more embellishment after I get the first layer. I don't know if I like that. This might be pretty. I like the green leaves, kind of organic, kind of like that piece there. So let me see what I think about this one. Hope everyone's doing well. Hope everyone is going to have a great vacation soon. It is summer, or maybe you've already taken a vacation. And that's one of the reasons why I'm trying to make this pouch, so that when I do go on vacation, I can take it with me. Now when you layer these, I'm trying not to overlap too much. It really doesn't hurt to do that a little bit. It won't be that bulky, really. I'll probably overlay some pieces on this because I'm not sure. I like the leaves poking out like that. It's a pretty big piece. Again, I had mentioned I wanted little small pieces. And I kind of like to intersect. That's why the corners, that's why I'm putting this little piece there. It's not doesn't harshly come to a point there. I wish I had some other colors. That's kind of interesting. I think we'll try a piece of that. Again, this is my only third video. I had added a short on my my page. But I don't count that as a video per se, because I didn't even do any talking. Nope, I don't like that, not really. Kind of like that one though. Kind of adds a little bit of interest to the piece. And of course, no one's really probably going to even see the back or care. Now this is a batik. I don't know if you all know what batiks are, but the good thing about a batik is that you can use either side. Some of my favorite YouTube channels that I watch is To Be Loved, let's see, by Corrine. Hold on, it's To Be Loved Treasures by Corrine. She is amazing. I mean, she can just sit here and cut fabric and talk and continue laying it down. Apparently, I can't talk and think at the same time, which is a talent for sure. I have another project that I had listed on my Slow Stitch Part 2 about covering a book. And I will be doing that project as well. I thought I would do this one first since it's simpler and I can kind of actually demonstrate the process, which I didn't get to do for the ladies at the retreat. Since they've never done this before, there were a lot of questions. And of course, I am very structured. I really want things to not overlap extensively. I'd rather have it extensive. Like this is just barely overlapping. That somehow that bothers me, and I don't know why, but I prefer to have items either overlap large, but not close to where it stops. If that makes sense. I hope so. Well, that's kind of interesting. I usually have to look at my layouts a lot before I end up with a design. Actually, I'm not feeling this one anymore. I don't like it. But I like the leaves. I like flowers. I think that's why or plants. I love to photograph plants. I'm a photographer as well. And I do a lot of landscape photography. I also like to do macro photography. Now here is this one here. I don't really want to pull in any red. It won't hurt if I do, but I want to kind of keep it to a little bit of a pink color. Let's see if I'm lucky enough to find some pink in here. Ooh, I do. That flower has a little bit of pink in it. And I think I need to I think I like this one better. These two are better. They're so cute. And that's the funny thing. The little pieces are really cute. So I've kept the pieces a little bit from the edge. And that is because I'm not sure how I'm going to close it. I don't know if I'm going to overlap this over. And if I do, I can always add more fabric. I just don't want to get it too thick. It is going to be something smaller. So that's one of the reasons why I'm trying to keep it. Darn my fingers. That. So as you can see, you just play, play, play. I kind of wanted that down there. Oh well, it's fine. All right, well, I'm thinking for the first layer, I think this will work. And like I said, I can always add more items. These are pretty. I may actually cut those out and lay those along there. So now I have them laid out like I like. Take little pins. And I will pin them down carefully so they don't move. Now, if you were going to sit down and just start working on it right away, you could leave the pins in and just continue working. And actually, this is pretty small, and I could leave the pins in. But I prefer doing invisible stitching, which is basically just basting. Because one time I didn't do invisible stitching and the pieces moved on me. Even though you can always fix it, I just don't want to do that. I want it to stay where I put it. Just makes life easier. Let's move some of this out of the way. Clean up my space so you can see a little better. I'm still new to Slow Stitch, relatively new. I've actually been playing around with Slow Stitch for probably a year and a half. So I think that's relatively new. I do want to thank the ladies at my retreat. Several people had brought books, fabric, and I was wanting to get some wool fabric. There's another lady I follow, Jennifer Clouston. She lives in Australia. In fact, a lot of the ladies I follow live in Australia. And she even has a book, several books actually. And she does some of the beautiful, beautiful projects. I'll put a link to her site as well. But what she does is she has these amazing embroidery books. And she will stitch like almost every day. And what's amazing is that she also uses wool. Well, I didn't have any wool, and one of our retreaters, thank you Roxanne, brought a piece of wool. So now I get to play around with the piece of wool and do some stitching like Jennifer. Now here is my thread, and this thread, because it's not being used to, doesn't need to be a good thread. In fact, this is really old thread. 29 cents. This came from my mom. It's really, really old. But what's good about this old thread is to baste it. And since you're not relying on it to keep the pieces together, it's something great to use. And I like that, because if you don't have a lot of thread, that is really handy to use something you already have. So now I've got my thread, and I'm going to do what's called invisible stitching. I have put a knot in the end, and I just take it through here. I catch a little tiny piece, pull it through, and I just do that. And I try to do like a grid pattern. So one side I start, I'll go to the end, I'll come across, and then come back up. Theoretically, I try to do that. And I also try to capture several layers. For example, this piece here will also catch the bottom piece. So a little bit of overlapping is a good thing. Now these are all raw edges. You don't have to do just raw edges. You can actually take the pieces and turn them over so they're not exposed. But I'm okay if they are raw. And if they do unravel, you can just always add another piece of fabric on it and fix it. So it's not a big deal. I'm pretty gentle with my stuff anyway, so I'm not worried about it. So back to my favorite YouTubers. Corrine does amazing, amazing, amazing stuff. And she's in Australia as well. All these ladies that I've been following, are from Australia. But they're very busy. I mean, they have so many projects. I just don't know how they have time to do all their projects. They have retreats too. But unfortunately, they're in Australia. I would like to figure out a way and find a group of people to actually have some type of retreat or workshop, in US. And that's for those who can't go to Australia. The other two ladies I follow, and it's called Roxy Creations. And these are two sisters, It's Sarah and Rachel, and they're from Australia. However, Rachel lives in Italy. But they have workshops, or they attend workshops. They know so many people that they get a big group of people, I think. I think it's a big group, a big following. Again, many of them are in Australia. I'd like to have a workshop, but of course, again, I'm still new at this, so I'd like to get someone else to help me to do a workshop so that we can split up the knowledge, since I'm still fairly new at this. But I'm not new at sewing. I've been sewing all my life. And basically, slow stitch is nothing but just hand sewing. You can add needlepoint, cross stitch, embroidery. You can add mixed media. You can put stamps on your pieces. Well, not the stamps, but you can stamp some fabric. Whatever you can imagine, you could probably put on your slow stitch piece. Now here I am at this little flower. Again, I'm just wanting to capture it so it won't move. So I'm going to do like 4 different pieces here, 4 little bits. It's really funny because when you're doing this, when you're doing your basting stitches, you can't wait to remove the pins. Because you're tired of seeing the pins on there. So say, hey, no pins. It's the small things, right? I also started thinking, so if I'm doing a little travel book, little travel notebook, needlebook, sorry, what do I need to put into it? I mentioned I wanted to put a little pocket. What should I put in the pocket? I could make a place for scissors, but I don't think it's big enough to add scissors. So I need to think about what I want in there. I think I'd like to have, for sure, the needle threader. That would be useful. I would have to figure a way to contain it. I made a pocket in my last needlebook, and everything kept falling out of it. So, like I said, I need to think about how to do that. And also, some of my travel is by plane, and I always keep my project with me in my carry-on bag. So I also need to think about my scissors. Someone told me the other day that they never got their scissors taken away. But then I've had other people tell me that they had one such good pair was removed. And I don't know if that was international flight or just a domestic, but they lost a really good pair of scissors and they were not very happy about that. And I don't want to be one of those people. All right, so I'm right here. You can put as many stitches or as little as you want, just as long as you can make sure that that layer stays. I know I'm going to be adding some elements, like I'm probably going to be adding a bead or two, maybe something else cute. Button, definitely a button. I've got to figure out how to make a closure. There's so many different ways for you to close your needle book. There was one such project which I didn't start, and I kind of wanted to. It's actually a needle roll where you have all your elements or items, scissors and needles and thread. And Roxy Creations started a little project, and you can go online and look for it. It's called a housewife or housewife, which is really interesting because, it's really funny because it's also it can be spelled as hussy, which is so funny. If you want to know more about that, you can look it up. It's really funny. So this is an item that was actually made by, I think it was this Civil War time, and the soldiers would take this with them to do repairs on their clothes and whatnot. That's why it's a little rolled up fabric item. Oh, that's great. I hate that when that happens. And I have tiny needles. Oh my goodness. Anyway, this is back in the day. They would carry this fabric little tiny bag, or a big bag, I'm not sure. And if you look it up, it's either a housewife, a housewife, or a hussy. It's so funny, the things you learn. But many of the Slow Stitch channels, many of the ladies were making some of these. I don't know who started it, but I saw it on Roxy's Creation. Basically, it's just a pouch to hold your needles and scissors and items to repair your clothes. Okay, note to self, when it gets a small thread, just tie it off. That's right. And then I will just do a little knot on this. There we go. I only have to finish this little piece right here. So I hope this helps for those new slow stitch ladies of how to start your project. Now, you don't have to do everything by hand. You can use your machine. It's kind of like cheating, but that's okay. I mean, that's what we did before. I mean, I caught my needlebook, and I'll show you here in a minute. I made that before I found Slow Stitch. And I kind of made it like crazy quilting. And I did it all by machine. I may have too many needle books in my house, but I have a lot of needles, so I can justify. You know, if you're a slow stitch or a quilter, because that's also what I do, quilt and sew, you have to justify. That's right, you do. Because I have a lot of justifying I need to do. I have a lot of stuff. All right, let's see how this works. Okay, that works. So the next step will be to decide what kind of stitches do I want to do, what kind of embellishments I want to add. And also I need to look at my lining. Also, if you don't have some of these are great scissors. You might want to include those. So here we have, oops, I got some more pins. Here we go. We've got my little pouch, little needle book. Here's my felt, which is perfect. It'll be perfect for just taking just a few needles. I like it. So let me go over again some of the stitches you can do. I've got seed stitches here, blanket stitch, which last time on my video I called them buttonhole stitches, which there is a buttonhole stitch, by the way, but this is blanket stitch. They're very similar. And I ended up doing stem or back stitches and then took other pieces of thread and looped them through. I wanted to see more of the thread to make it more decorative. When you do two-tone, it becomes a little like a I don't know, striped, what's that? These were just fun little straight stitches. I just did them kind of in little L's. Let's see if there's anything else. I don't know if I'm going to be doing any thread painting on that one. I know I won't be doing that. I might do some flowers stitches with some lazy daisies and some French knots. And there's another knot you can use. It's called, I think, colonial knot. I need to look that up. A lot of people like that better than the French knots. And I'll most likely put some kind of thread or yarn, that's what this is. It's a fluffy yarn, which, by the way, it's really hard to crochet. I kept messing up, so that's why it's on my pouches. All right, well, I will say goodbye for now, and I will add another video with my next steps. All right, well, thank you for joining me. I hope this helped you in trying to start your new project. Here's my needle book that I made many years ago. I made it by machine to hold all my needles. I created it with pouches and pockets, as you can see, and I store all my needles in there, which is really nice. I've added, my felt so you can store more needles. It was created by machine, crazy quilt style. So you have a choice. You can do it by machine or partial machine and the rest slow stitch, whatever makes you happy.